Welcome back to Key is King. Today I am somewhat reluctantly going to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac. And the reason I say reluctantly is because when I was late to this party, which I was very late to Potomac, but when I finally arrived to this party, I was so deeply in love. They were witty, they were funny, they were black, because representation does in fact matter. It was everything. I was like, this is the new coming of Atlanta, which we all know is the top earner for so long and for so many reasons. Shout out to Nene Leakes. But I was this close, especially with all the stress that these videos create, I was this close to not reviewing it because the first episode was giving boring. It was giving, I'm tired of these bitches. I've been tired of them because ever since Monique left around season 5-ish, the show has gone in directions that I've been very concerned with, but nonetheless, I've given it a few episodes, and after doing my double reviews last time, I'm realizing that I'm capable, I can do it, and ultimately, they deserve to be talked about. And things are happening these first few episodes where I'm like, okay, I think we can make something happen here. So I'm going to combine, I believe, episodes 1 and 2 in this video, and then I'll do some catch up with 3 that just came out over the weekend, and probably 4 when it drops next weekend. But here we go. So every franchise has its known features, we'll say, and so Potomac has become known over the past few seasons for the reenactments. They always are doing these like true crime-esque reenactments of the big things that are happening, especially if there's a season opener of these things. We had Robin and Juan one season. This year we have Karen and her DUI, or whatever she's calling it. So they have the reenactment with the time and like the swerving, and they end with like a tree before like the vision goes out. Very messy, very funny. I wouldn't call it Emmy worthy quite yet. It's not exactly Salt Lake City editing, but they're doing a pretty decent job. The reenactments are always like campy and funny to me. But we open with that reenactment, and then we come to, and Giselle is on her way to pick up Karen so they can go out to eat. Now, these are the long-lasting frenemies of Potomac. They are OGs of Potomac, and we expect some messiness. We expect them to be anchors, and Giselle's giving us what we know her to give. She's calling Ashley. They're being very messy. This is technically Karen's second DUI or DUI-esque incident. She apparently didn't have a license or an expired license, an unregistered car. She clearly hit, like, so Karen has like a list of charges. Mind you, this woman's in her 60s, I believe. And so they're being just shady. Ashley's asking all the shady questions because Ashley is a messy bitch. Like, in the new age of Housewives, Ashley is like the one you think about when you think of like a completely messy bitch. Like, and I used to love Ashley, and I used to defend Ashley to the death of me. But I can't do that these days. I really can't. She used to be like a peak housewife to me. Now she is, I want her gone. She needs to be next in the line of the Robins being gone. There's a few other people. We'll get to it. But yeah, Ashley needs to go. But she called, she's being messy. She's asking all the messy questions. Giselle's kind of being shady, but whatever. She finally gets to Karen's. She pulls up and she's just treating Karen like she's like literally 92 and like fragile. She's like, Ray, I'm here to get Miss Karen. I'm driving Miss Karen. So I love that type of fun shade. That is just hilarious to me. Karen's acting like she's the queen of the world, because that's kind of typical to her character too. But they get in the car, they're talking, and Giselle's like, oh, should I not drive by the crash site? Like, can you handle that? So the shade is already immediate. I know she was being partly serious, but I know it was really shady. But Karen's like, actually says like, no, like I don't want to go by it. I want to avoid that area for now. So I was like, okay. Very interesting, very interesting. But I'm going to say it right now. Karen's whole demeanor and attitude about this whole thing is already like, I could feel it in my bones. It's not going to be great. She could, like, I feel like she could really shut shit down and really kind of control the narrative, but she's doing this whole tight-lipped thing. She's doing this whole, like, you can read about it, it's a legal matter. She's giving all of these women ammo, and she's leaving space for them to, like, fill in the blank for her and, like, just talk all this shit. So I don't love that, especially as, like, a Karen stan, typically. She's always the best person usually on these shows. Candace was good too, but she's not here with us right now. Hope she's doing well in her mothering journey though, but I don't like the way Karen's already the energy. Like, I don't even fuck with Shannon from OC, but at least Shannon was like acting apologetic and acting like she gave a fuck and acting remorseful. Karen's not really doing that right now, and I'm not feeling that. I'm really not feeling it. They cut to all the women in their little confessionals. They all have shit to say about Karen. They're all just like dragging her essentially. And she's doing this whole angle of like, we'll wait until the truth comes out. And it's like, what are you even alluding to? You were the only one there. You were driving a car. Like, what possible truth could absolve you from all of this? And that's the shit I'm talking about. Shannon, even if she's a fake bitch over in OC, she's at least pretending and saying the things she's supposed to say. Karen's just like alluding to some like weird shit, but I don't love it. I wish she would quit the whole it's a legal matter thing. Even if it was, you can still share something that gives people a reason not to think that you're just being a weirdo. Like, so I roll. So I just don't love this. Well, I shouldn't say I don't love, but this season of Housewives, like all the shows that are happening right now, I seem to be like on the opposite side of my normal stances, which I guess is good for variety's sake, but it's also like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it's like the upside down in Housewives universe. It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Giselle and Karen get to the restaurant they're going to. Giselle parks horribly, and if she would have parked next to me like that, I would have probably like wrote on her car or something, because I can't stand a motherfucker who has a license but can't drive. Or like you have a job that you're just miserable at. It's just like, why do things that you can't handle? If you can't drive, if you can't park, get a fucking scooter maybe. I don't know. But that's besides the point. Once again, my little detail-oriented brain was just like, say that, I don't like it. So they go to some breakfast spot, some local breakfast spot, and Karen is just going into kind of, like Giselle is trying to ask her, she's not really trying to do too much. Like Giselle can be a miserable, messy little lady herself, but she's like trying to like handle it with as much care as she possibly can like muster up. Karen's being very, I don't want to talk about it, you can read, like when she's asking her questions, but to make a long story short, or try to, Karen is just saying how she is still grieving from the death of her parents. I believe it was 2018, if my memory serves me correct. She was saying she needs emotional support from Ray, her husband, and just kind of, it's like very repetitive, the stuff that Karen's like associating this with, but to me, when I read in between the lines, Karen's life is a fucking mess. Once her parents died, her marriage kind of went to shit, and I'm waiting for the season or the day where they're like, oh, we're getting divorced, because Ray doesn't seem to really like fuck with Karen all the time. One of their storylines literally was like if he loved her still. So I just don't see it for them. And Karen's always acting just distressed, but like is trying to play like defense of it. She's just giving very shut off, but they're talking about stuff. The whole scene is just very very them. It's very them. And we cannot continue talking about the scene without talking about the fact that Karen clearly goes here a lot, or at least hire these people for the day, because they have a Karen special as a meal option. And then the waiter is coming over and like giving her donuts for no fucking reason, and then is randomly telling her that like she comes here all the time and he's never seen her drink. And Karen's literally like, the thing that I don't like about Karen is like, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, oh my god. Like, you have to be strategic in my opinion if you're gonna be a housewife. Karen like blatantly just like avoids the truth, doesn't tell the truth, sets people up like this man brought her donut, gave this whole speech, and then she gives him a high five as if she's like confirming like he did his speech right. Like, what? Like, I'd rather Karen just be honest, because every time she lies, she's not even a good liar, and it's just like, it's hard to root. Not that I want to like root for the liar, but like, you want to like play for your team essentially, and like I feel like I'm on Team Karen, so. But a spade is a spade, and I'm not going to hold back just because I like you. Sorry. But yeah, Karen definitely hired that man. He did his job well, and she rewarded him for all of us to see. So I was like, okay. It's a mess. But they're talking about that. They're talking about Mia a little bit, because Mia is just weird. I know we have weird-ass Brittany in Salt Lake City. Mia is this close to me changing her name to weird-ass Mia. Wham. Because we'll get there though. Trust me when I tell you we'll get there. But they're going through this stuff. Karen makes mention of her friend Stacy, who is our newest housewife, which I will be getting into in just a little bit, but she mentioned Stacy. They get into her a little bit because Giselle is throwing Karen a birthday party, because it's always Karen's birthday during filming usually, and Giselle's gonna throw her a party. So speaking of Mia, we move on to her and her family next. And when I say family, I mean her children, and Gordon, who I guess are separating going through divorce. But Mia is fucking weird. Like I said, she got about 2 more strikes before I've officially changed her government name. She is doing the fucking most. Like, she is a reckless mom. Like, in my notes I literally wrote, she's a reckless mom. She's one of those moms that will, like, have every adult conversation or tell her kid every useless piece of information that ends up traumatizing them because she's being so honest and so transparent. And yes, you should be able to be transparent and honest with your kids, but give them information in ways that they can process it and handle it. Don't just give them big chunks of information. Like, mind you, life fucking happens and sometimes you cannot protect what people find out, especially children. But intentionally just like overloading your young children with information about your messy ass and your vagina play, like, that shit, I don't give a fuck. It's crazy to me. Like, you are on national television playing with your children just like it's nothing. So she's reckless, and I would really not like for her to be my mother personally, and I'm glad she's not. I got my own mommy issues to deal with, for real. But I just don't understand that woman in that way. Like, you might act dumb and play dumb, but you can't play that fucking dumb. Like, there's a line. There is a line. And so they send the kids off, and Gordon's like calling Mia out because she's playing in his face, quite honestly. And I know at this point I've already watched a few episodes, so like my opinion for what I'm about to say is really like cemented. But Mia is like, the way she's playing with like Gordon, her children, like, she's lucky that man's not like a violent man, because he would have like fucking probably literally crashed out and probably killed her. Like, for an unstable person, Mia's doing shit that gets you fucked up. Like, I can't. But Gordon's calling her out because she's been having an affair with her now man, like, for all their marriage. That was her high school sweetheart. So he's like calling her out for just being the messy bitch that she is. Apparently he's moved into their building because Mia said something in front of the kids, like, oh, we've been seeing Dad a lot, like, isn't that nice or something? Like, okay, yes, even if he had been absent or somewhere else, like, the addressing it, like, why do you have to mention it in front of them, like, and make them, like, aware to the fact, like, maybe they weren't aware, I don't fucking know, but, like, so she's talking about how Gordon has moved into their building now, and she's, like, essentially, like, sneak dissing him about that, and, like, yeah, like, it makes it hard to have my sneaky links. Why are you having sneaky links if you're apparently with your, like, new man? Like, this is what I'm talking about, like, when a hoe tells on themselves, listen. Like, that's all I gotta say. That's all I got to say. Because she's like, I don't know what she's talking about. But then they get into the paternity issues because her now man thinks he may be the dad of their oldest son together. Just messy, messy, messy. And she's telling Gordon that he has a legal right to figure it out and find out and get a DNA test. And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She wants to bring up the fact that Gordon's mad that, like, Inc., his name is Inc., by the way, INC, like, Incorporated, but she's talking to Gordon because Gordon's upset that Inc. is taking their son to get haircuts, but just, like, she's, as Candace would say, her and her big-ass feet are really trying it. They're really trying it, and she needs to slow down on the weird shit. And just to further cement the point of what I said about Mia's trying to push somebody to, like, physically harm her, she tried to call their situation involving the new boyfriend co-parenting. And Gordon was like, that's not co-parenting. And she's like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Him taking our son to the barbershop is co-parenting. Once again, wrap it up. Then we move on to the fallen star herself, Ashley Darby. Which she always in her personal time or her personal scenes looks like a bad 80s fucking movie, like, spit into 2024. Like, she didn't know how to act without titties. Now that she has her new titties, she just looks like a hot 80s mess, and not in a hot, like, good way. Like, But, yeah, her storyline is now being a hoe because she's finally ready to divorce Michael. That's her whole shit. That was the whole scene. She's meeting with her lawyer, ready to be divorced and be a hoe. Great, Ashley. We've all been some hoes. That doesn't need to be your storyline, okay? Should I follow my camera around with me the next time I have a hoe moment? Like, get out of here. Get out. And we just keep getting better. Because up next is Wendy. And Wendy's this close for me just completely disowning the thought of her. I already don't fucking really like her that much, but like, the comparison I always give about Wendy is that like, she always fumbles the ball. Like, she could have a point, she could have momentum, she could be running towards the end zone, but right before, she always fucking falls on her face. She always lets the ball go. It's like, how much can one person just like barely be good in it? Like, oh my god, she kills me. But it's her scene, it's her introduction to the season. Once again, boring. She's quitting her job as a professor to be a talk show host. I don't know what the fuck she's trying to do. To be a housewife, essentially. And she's worried about what her mom is going to think, because her mom, they're African, and her mom is always on and on and on about how she has 4 degrees and da-da-da-da, ba-da-ba-da-ba. Fucking next. We then move on to Karen, which is really the introduction to Stacy, but they're at, I believe it's Vivian's store, which Vivian has been a long time friend of Karen's that appears on the show, but without the friend of status. So if you know Potomac, you know who I'm talking about. But she's coming in, she's talking and kikiing about the store. Like I said, this is really all about Stacy and the introduction of Stacy, and her entrance was a bit of a key. She was cute, she looked good. She's honestly Kenya Moore reincarnated. She is Kenya Moore 2.0, from Detroit, dark skin, beautiful, has like very, she's just very, what's the word? What's that word? Eloquent, maybe? Like, she's just very good. I guess she used to work at QVC, be a newscaster. So Stacey came in and she was the moment in that moment, and it was nice. Not a whole bunch went on in the scene. They were trying on dresses and clothes. Well, Stacey was, because she was invited to Karen's party via Giselle. So they're trying on outfits and whatnot. But as Stacey goes into the dressing room at one point, Karen goes, oh my god, she's not wearing her wedding ring, like, what's going on? So Stacey comes back out and is like, what are you talking about? Karen's like, I noticed you didn't have your ring on, what's going on? And that's when Stacey drops a bomb that her and her husband have been separated for a year, they're going through a divorce, and that's partly why she moved back to Potomac or the area. So Karen's like, well, I never let a missing diamond like slip or something like that. And so Stacey clocked in right away. She absorbs that one. She's like, okay, you want to point out my lack of ring and talk about my divorce? They're all drinking champagne while Karen's drinking water, because, you know, she got a D-U and an I. And Stacey goes, oh, I'm sorry, should we be drinking in front of you? And Karen immediately is offended. Like, she acts pretty cool about it, but her whole shit changed. Her demeanor, her face, her attitude a little bit. And I just loved it, because Stacey was concerned the whole time, and she never broke that face. Karen was like, I'll be drinking soon, So, I love that. That was one of those, like, non-verbal, silent, bitch, I gotcha, I caught it type of things. And that's what I live for. So, good job, Stace. And then we move on to Karen's birthday party. The episode is just chugging right along, mostly because it's boring as fuck, I think. Which, well, it's chugging along now, but there's not a lot of details, the point that I'm saying here. They arrive at Karen's party. Giselle has a cardboard cutout of her Formation Pink little number, very cute. Apparently it's a Hatitude party. Almost rolled my eyes out of the country. Potomac just gets my fucking nerves these days, but they have a Hatitude party, which they're all going to be receiving different types of hats at. Once again, fucking why. But Ashley comes first. She's messy as shit. Her gift is messy, which we'll get into in a second. She's asking all these fucking questions, but they all file in slowly but surely. Giselle is starting to talk a little bit in her confessionals. I think it was about, or in relation to Wendy, and how, I think she's trying to say this her demeanor in general. Her dad had passed some months ago at the time of filming, and she's just really strategically using that, in my opinion, for a reason to why she's switching up her whole tune. Because if anybody knows the show and that woman, she is a mean, bitter, petty bitch, and is always trying to exclude people, leave people out, be mean to people for varying reasons. But now her best friend, her lesbian sister, has been fired from the show, and so she doesn't have any true allies, because Robin and Giselle were the first and probably only friendship on Bravo to never crack one time. Like, they didn't have a fight for real, they never had beef, they never said fuck you, fuck your family, like none of that. They were solid, trusted each other, ate each other out, literally for all 8 seasons. All 8, allegedly. All 8 seasons. So the fact that she does not have her legitimate ally there, the bitch gotta do something. But she's, like I said, she's strategically using her dad's death to explain why she is completely changing her page. Like, her tune is completely different. Like, she, which we'll get to it, but like the direction she's trying to go with Wendy is very shocking and telling. But her whole like, life's too short, her whole thing, I see you. I see, because that's, if you're going to, Karen, take notes, if you're going to be a liar, you're going to like be somebody who's not exactly telling the truth, you take a little piece of it, I guess, and then you just elaborate, or like, so she ain't dumb. She's strategically maneuvering this, and it's working for her, so can't knock her. So soon after Ashley arrives, Jacqueline arrives, who is a friend of Mia's, and she's back, and I wish she would go away, because she fucking sucks, really, and she looks crazy. She really does look crazy. So Jacqueline's a no, but Jazzy is a yes, which is our newest housewife, and her man plays for the Chiefs, I believe. They just won the Super Bowl a couple times. Yes, that was them. So Jazzy's cool, she's a yes, Jacqueline's a no, an absolute fucking no. But as Jazzy's kind of talking about herself, introducing herself, they're like, oh my god, your boyfriend plays for the Chiefs, like, they just won the Super Bowl, like, da-da-da-da. And then Wendy is like, oh, did you meet Taylor Swift? Do you know Taylor Swift? And she's like, yeah. And Wendy's like, oh, I'm becoming a Swiftie, like, that's so cool. And this is what the fuck I'm talking about. Fumbling the ball. Who the fuck likes that weird... Nobody fucks with Taylor Swift on this side of my line of life. So, Wendy, once again, take a seat. You and your bob, go sit down. Choke on a hat. Like, this is the shit I'm talking about with Wendy. You're becoming a Swiftie. So I just want to say, before the birthday girl herself, Karen, gets there, Jacqueline is letting the group know that she talked to Karen recently and she thought she was drunk on the phone. And Jacqueline looks fucking stupid, if I didn't already say that. She's messy as hell, because Mia, your best friend since childhood, brought you on this show, dogged you out. Completely. You fell out with her. Now you're back up under her fucking ass, being messy about these other people. Like, you are the dumbest hoe in the room, and you should probably be quiet. Like, I can't do it with Jacqueline. I have a feeling that Mia's representative is really going to get on my everlasting nerve this season. But she's trying to be shady, she's trying to be all cute, she looks anything but. Stacy comes in, and Wendy apparently knows her from a board, and I just want to know, how many boards does Potomac, DC, Baltimore, the Maryland area have? Because every time, I don't know where I was just looking also, every time that these women meet somebody new, they're like, oh, we served on a board together. When Wendy came in, Karen was like, oh yeah, we served on a board together. What are these boards, and where, like, does everyone get a board? Is that a part of residency in Maryland? I don't know. I'm about to look up Connecticut's boards. Maybe I can meet somebody that doesn't get on my nerves. That was only half a joke. But yeah, so I just want to know how many boards there are. Please, somebody tell me. If you know, put it in the comments. Karen arrives finally. I don't know. Something's off about Karen. She doesn't look as good as she usually does, in my opinion. It's my opinion. But she comes in, Giselle's being shady immediately almost. They have a non-alcoholic drink called the Grand Dame, because Karen is the Grand Dame of Potomac. So, shady. Jacqueline's being very messy. She's asking some questions, and she says to the group and to Karen directly, like, nobody should judge you, and then follows it up after Karen's like, thank you. She's like, well, we don't know the facts yet. The facts haven't come out. After the facts come out, then people will judge you, for sure. Which we know Karen doesn't like, and she definitely did not like it. But yeah, Jacqueline was doing the most. Once again, trying to be relevant, and all you are is a representative. See, I'm telling you, my tongue be trying to twist when I talk shit, but I'm gonna get it out. Just gotta slow it down sometimes. But yeah, Jacqueline is annoying. And Karen is like almost defiant in her stance about this, where truthfully she could have died. Somebody else could have died. And that's the reality of this, but Karen's like defiant in the sense of, I don't know, she's just like, she turned all this situation about like who is her friend. And she was like, this is going to show me who rides for me, and I don't want any fake bitches around me. So Karen's whole stance is this whole situation is going to prove to her who her friends are and who her friends aren't, and she doesn't want fake bitches in her area. Which I'm learning or starting to realize that every time Karen goes through something, that is her stance, which makes me feel that she is maybe not as confident as she seems, which I can get, that makes sense. Or she just really cares way too much about what people think, because it's always about who's on her side and who's against her. It also gets a little paranoid, so these moments are very telling, but that's Karen's whole thing. She's almost being defiant in her ripple effect of her DUI, and it's not giving me good feels, and I love Karen. Ashley and Giselle announced they have like a new extension of GNA, which I don't know if that's literally Giselle and Ashley, that's what it stands for, but their whack-ass, bootleg-ass, out-of-your-trunk clothing line, now they have fusions. Don't even know what it means. Wendy laughed them out, quite literally. They're like, what are you fusing with that? That is a mess. But they talk about that. The conversation moves on to Mia and her situation. And both Karen and Giselle are rightfully saying that like Mia's not thinking about her kids, and the kids are going to be damaged in all of this. And what does Mia do? She yells and then has the fakest cry I've heard in a long time, I think. She sounded like she was trying to push a shit out, not cry. Like,
don't let anybody.
I don't know what she was going through or what fake acting classes she took before the season, but that fake ass cry, yell, scream, yelp she was doing, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I did not feel bad for her because she was dead ass wrong and she was trying to make them wrong. Sorry. Nope. And so the episode pretty much ends with, not pretty much, it does end with Mia in her little tantrum in the bathroom. But what was taking me out this whole time is Stacy. Stacy's face, she was literally like, where am I? Like, who are these people? She was like the messiness of talking about like the kid stuff and like, because of course they mentioned, Gordon talked about Mr. Ink saw you in bed and why are your children seeing you in bed with another man? And Stacy was like, oh, this is messy. So the whole time her facial expressions, her confessional, she's like, I thought I was coming here for a birthday party. Like, what is going on? That shit was just so funny to me. But yeah, episode 1 ends there, and then we pick it up on episode 2. So we're opening where we left off in the last, where Mia's just fake crying in the bathroom with Jazzy and Jacqueline, which I don't think I mentioned in the first part, but damn, all these J fucking names. Jazzy is Mia's friend, so she's Mia's friend of, but she seems way better and way more likable than Mia, so like good luck to Mia. I kind of hope they fall out because Jazzy would eat her up, I think. Like I really do. But we're opening with Mia in the bathroom, fake crying. She quickly dries her tears that were never there. She goes back out to the table as Giselle's giving them all different hats with names. Mia got like the king, which is like a pimp hat literally, because I guess that's what you give a hoe. I don't know, they all just have these stupid ass hats. I didn't love the theme, I didn't love anything about this really. But she comes back to the table, she claims she's okay. Giselle and Karen are trying to clean it up. It's not really working because you can't clean it up, and you were right, so fuck cleaning it up. Leave the mess on the floor. Like, nobody's worried about Mia for real, for real. For real, for real. It's interesting to me how blind Mia seems to the ripple effect that all this can have. Like, she seems to be like, I'm gonna tell my kid, like, he could, like, one day look into this or, like, look it up. But it's just, like, whenever he decides to see this, look into it, he's gonna see who fucking started it. And it was you. It would be something if somebody else from the woodwork came out and, like, had this accusation about your child's paternity, but you are the one. So like, you're not thinking about later down the road. You're not thinking about what your children will think about you when you're not their sole provider and they're youths. Like, it's just, she's choosing to be dumb, and I don't like people that choose to be dumb outside of certain circumstances. Like, when the shoe fits, wear it, but if you're just choosing to be dumb actively in most situations, can't get with it. I do not support thee. Just to piggyback off the ripple effect thing, I think this is when they like cut to a scene or something. In my notes I have the question, do Mia's kids like her? Literally with a little LMAO there, because they showed some type of clip of her like kissing her kids or something, and the daughter like turned around and was like, the son didn't really seem like he wanted to. Something is already giving me that they may not really like her that much. And I don't know if I would blame them if that were the case. We move on to Giselle and Wendy going to lunch, because at the birthday party, Giselle said, Wendy, I'd love to talk to you. Maybe we can meet up tomorrow. Because like I said before, Giselle needs an ally. She needs a new best friend because Robin is not there to munch on her box anymore. So they're going to lunch. Giselle is opening with that she thinks Wendy's condescending when she's upset, which okay, sure. Wendy thinks that Giselle is isolating, which she is. She's like, you're always trying to like cut people out, you're always trying to like ice people out and ignore them, which is very, very true. So they can agree on that. They seem like they're getting along. They seem like they can maybe work some stuff out and move past it. Giselle says she wants, or she could see it being bestie-like. She wants a best friend on this show. She really does. And Wendy is trying to not claim that she wants to be Giselle's best friend, but clearly Wendy wants to be Giselle's best friend too. She's trying to act all like coy about it and like, well, I don't know, I wouldn't say we're best friends. Wendy clearly wants to be sniffing her farts as well. So I'm sure it's a matter of time before Wendy's whole head is just implanted in Giselle's ass. Because that's what Wendy really wants. She's just trying to act all fucking cutesy about it. Bitch, you ain't demure. I see you. And that's what a ball fumbler would do. They would welcome Giselle with open arms and forget every awful thing she ever did to them. And I am predicting it now in my Bravo crystal ball that will be Wendy in a few episodes. By the end of the season, Wendy will be surgically implanted in Giselle. I promise. I can almost feel it. We shall see. Then we move on to Stacey, who, like I've already said before, is Kenya 2.0. The similarity in look, aesthetic, just the talking, the vibe. I keep looking at something that is not the camera, so forgive me. But Stacey is, I like it. She's from Detroit. She's from the same place as Kenya. Literally, all of the signs are there. But she's giving us a little insight to her life. One of the first things that I noticed or said is that she seems like a robot. Mind you, this, like I said before, she's a dark-skinned black woman, and she seems like the Valley and the girl just like got married inside of her. Like, she is now, I don't know, something about it just seems so like, I'm Stacey. So she's just kind of stiff and robotic in a lot of ways. But yeah, I'm still intrigued. Yeah, I still think she's good. But yeah, she needs a little oil. She needs to loosen it up a little bit. She then reveals that she has, what she revealed earlier in the episode, but she has an 8-year-old daughter, and what she does reveal is that her and her husband, who are separated, are not telling the daughter until they have figured out every detail of this, which is interesting. It's been a year, and so she's like, until we have all the things down of where she's going to live, custody and all that stuff, she's like, we're not going to tell her. What they instead decide to do is they all still live together, quote unquote, but they essentially take turns living in the home. Like, Stacey has an apartment, and then she has her family home. And so when the husband's away, I guess they live in the family home with the daughter together and their help. And then when he's there, she goes to her apartment, and they just say that they're on work trips. So they're playing a whole fucking chess game and not telling their daughter anything, but living separate lives, but like together. Stacey said she knows for certain that her husband is seeing other people, and she says she knows for certain that he is aware that she is seeing somebody, which we'll get into in a second, because child, are you really seeing somebody? It's even giving Kenya Moore in that way, if you know anything about Kenya Moore's freshman season on Housewives of Atlanta. But it's giving very stiff, interesting, and intriguing. Now, how did those things get together like that? I don't know, but that's Stacey, and I'm here. I'm here for it. So we'll see. We then move on to Karen and Kay, which I believe you pronounce her name Kiarna. Which, it's a K name, I won't do too much, but we'll call her Kay, because I like that a little better. But Kay's going over to Karen's house to check on her, follow up, because Kay was not invited to Karen's party, which we'll get into in just a split second. But she is also one of the new additions as far as a housewife. Now, obviously, we've seen Kay on the show. I believe Jazzy was supposed to be the full-time housewife, and Kay was supposed to be the friend of, but somehow along the way they switched roles, which is kind of upsetting, but it's whatever. It's whatever. Kay is perfectly cool, and she also beat up Ashley's friends last season, despite having a gash in her head. So Kay gets a pass in my book forever for slapping one of them. So that part, she's cool. I don't mind. But once again, we're getting into how fucking staged Karen is, and the shit is just really whack at a certain point. Like, it always was. I'm not one of those people that's like delusional about people that I just like, but the whole shit with Karen has always been kind of whack, but like it's just been proven this episode and the season so far how whack it is. In her confessional, she's talking about how much she loves Kay and all this stuff, and who calls her Kay. It's just like that type of shit. And Karen gets off the phone and she's like, girl, we know you texted her before you sat down and was like, call me in about 15 minutes. I feel like it's one of the oldest tricks in the book. Like, get over it. But Kay is coming to check on Karen. She's talking about how she really appreciates Karen and how they have a genuine friendship after Karen went with her to the hospital after the whole GNA incident last season. So that's that. Kay's a little ghetto. I don't mind a little ghetto. But it's just funny to see that on Potomac. She almost has like baddie talk. Like, literally part of her tagline is standing on business. So I just love that she's bringing a little ghetto to Potomac, because Karen is trying to keep up and looks ridiculous. Like, you are 60 trying to keep up with the ghetto Joneses over there, and it's like, please, let Kay be the young, youthful one with a little spice and edge to her, and you just do your thing. But I hate like a fucking parrot-ass person. Like, mind you, I get it. Been there, done that before, and maybe that's why I can feel so passionate about saying it, but just like, it's okay to have an OG thought and an OG feeling. I get it, but like, Karen, we know you now for almost a decade. You're not that girl. So don't try to be that girl just because you have Kay around you, please. I hope she doesn't piss me off for real this season. I really hope. Kay goes on to talk about her man who she's preparing to move in with before they get married, which I don't give a fuck about that type of stuff. But a lot of people do. And she also reveals in this moment that her ex-fiance passed away, and so this is like the first real relationship, or like the first time she's really taken somebody this seriously since then. So that was interesting just to hear a bit of her backstory, because we didn't get that before. And Karen, of course, just can't help but, I'm telling you, Karen keeps digging herself into these weird holes this season, but Giselle let Karen know, because she asked about the guest list for her party when that conversation happened. So Giselle let Karen know that Kay was not going to be invited because the room did not hold only held a certain amount of people. Like, there was only a certain amount of numbers that could be at the table. So with all the new housewives and the friends of, there was not a spot for Kay. And at the time, like, let me remind you, Kay was not a housewife, I don't think, at this point of filming. Something happened during filming that switched her and Jazzy. So Jazzy was there, being introduced, and Kay wasn't. Karen knows this, and Karen let Kay believe that she was excluded for a shady reason, and she had no knowledge of it. And that's the type of shit I'm talking about. Because that just kind of makes you a liar, and for what? For what? Just for what? So that was really, really, I didn't love that. So we move away from Karen and Kay, and we move on to Ashley and Stacey. They are hanging out. I think they're over at Stacey's house, I believe. And one of the first things that Ashley says is that she has like a news reporter voice, which she does, but like, you are in her home, and like the first thing you're doing is being shady. True to form, it's like, Ashley, you and your forehead, chill the fuck out. Go sit down somewhere, please. They're going on a walk. That's their activity for the scene. And I think Ashley complimented the lawn or something, and Stacey's like, oh, I don't even know who cuts my grass. That's the type of rich shit I love. And Ashley's like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know? She's like, am I supposed to know that? Like, I don't know who does that. So I guess her husband takes care of that, or they just have a complete stranger being nice and cutting their grass. But that was just funny to me. It gave me a giggle. So Stacey is sharing with Ashley a little bit about her situation, how her and her husband live together, because, you know, Ashley's asking those questions. And then Ashley's 80s nightmare, big-ass forehead self has the nerve to be judging Stacey when she lived with Michael, who people say looks like fucking Gollum, or whatever that thing is from Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. Ashley's judging somebody, which I could have gone through the TV and, like, shook her, because who are you? Like, ma'am? But I think she kind of realizes that too, and maybe she's trying to be, like, funny, but, like, that's not funny. Anybody who watches this show is going to, like, chew you out. So Ashley thinks she's cute. She wasn't. She's judging Stacey. But Stacey then brings up a situation that I found to be interesting. She's talking about her daughter being biracial, but Stacey's black. I told you before, she's dark skinned. She married a German man. Clearly, he's white. Well, not clearly, he's white. And so her daughter's biracial. And so she keeps talking about how, like, her daughter's not growing up and being proud of, like, her blackness or being around black people. And she's kind of asking Ashley about her children's experience because they're a quarter black and look every bit of white. And so Ashley's like, well, they are going to have a different experience. Like, my family's black, they'll be around them, but they won't look like them. When they go to school and see their peers that are black or mostly black, they're not going to look like them or share features with them. So, like, that's very interesting. But Stacey's asking Ashley these questions like she's not the mom. Like, okay, maybe you don't live around the corner from your cousins, but, like, you're black. You could be giving your daughter something directly. So it was weird to me that she was, like, seeking counsel on, like, how to make her daughter feel her blackness. When, like, you are the black one out of her parents, like, you can figure that out. Unless you don't feel in touch with your blackness, that's a whole nother thing, and I would suggest some therapy maybe. But I just found it interesting because she was almost talking as if it wasn't her responsibility or she, like, wasn't sure how to go about that. Yeah, and Ashley ultimately is not the one you want to go to because although she said she identifies as black, it's a different kind of black. I think. So, it was quite interesting. Also, take a shot every time I fucking say interesting. How about that? So they end their time together talking about Stacey's man, which I'm going to literally do some research and probably put it in post-edit. The man that she's talking about, I am convinced was on, like, The Parkers or Girlfriends, but, like, is, like, an actor that we've probably all seen before. And in true Capricorn fashion, I was absolutely correct. This man was in 2 episodes of The Parkers, I believe. And it's just funny and convenient that he's actually an actor. But this is exactly why I do this shit, because my eagle eye never forget a face ass. And it's just funny because, like, as I said, the whole Kenya Moore 2.0, Kenya infamously brought a man onto her season playing her boyfriend and was like a hired, I won't call him an actor, but just a hired person. And this is kind of what this is giving, because this man doesn't want to have sex with her until they get married. Mind you, they were like 40 plus. He, like, doesn't seem to really fucking like her that much or want to be, like, he doesn't seem that interested in her. He's apparently very into religion and, like, they pray all the time and work out a lot. And so Ashley's like, it's been a year and you haven't, like, had sex. Like, you've been in a marriage for 17 years with the same penis and, like, you don't want a new one. And so what I find funny about this is that Ashley just let her entire hoe slip out in that moment and told on herself because she wanted to act like she was having such a hard time with Michael or moving on from Michael, and she was probably going to Pound Town every 30 minutes. Like, so it was just funny. I love that type of shit. Like, she really let her hoe jump out and then it jumped back in. So that was funny to me. It was just hilarious. So we move on to a quick scene between Giselle and Karen at Giselle's house. Giselle couldn't even hear her doorbell. I guess the noise gets lost in all the ugly interior design. So she's whatever. She has Karen over. Karen's calling Giselle out for being shady at her party. Giselle's calling Karen out for being messy about the whole K and the invitation thing. And then somewhere in the middle, they're talking about how Karen has put Jacqueline on ice for being a messy bitch, and I would have done the same thing. So don't blame you, Karen. Also, it doesn't really fucking matter because Jacqueline sucks anyway. But they end their conversation about the event that Giselle's having because Giselle's putting on an event in relation to, like, brain tumors and brain cancer, because as we know, her dad passed away. which was very tragic. But Karen was like, oh yeah, I have an event that day that's honoring me. I'm getting an award, because Karen's always getting an award for something. And she's like, it's the same day as yours, but it'll be different times. Like, I'm going to be at your event. Karen's just giving her a guarantee that, like, I have the same event, which Giselle's already, like, side-eyeing her about. But she's like, it'll all work out. We'll be able to do both. And Giselle's like, okay. Like, what are you getting an award for? Like, crashing into a tree? Like, I don't even get it. But that ends that conversation, right? They quickly cut to the next day. Everyone wakes up to a group text from Karen inviting her to her event and her award ceremony that is the same time as Giselle's. And once again, Karen is being weird and messy for fucking what? You sat in Giselle's house and face playing like you didn't know your event was the same time and the same day after it has been announced. And Giselle's event is literally in relation to her dad, and like, he died. He died. So it's just like, it's crazy to me. Karen not only invites everybody to her event, she offers them transportation and gets them a party bus. So like, why would you not want to take her up on that offer? You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, morally, nobody should even really be entertaining Karen. But like, Karen's going above and beyond to like pull people away from Giselle's event. And it would be one thing if it was just like some stupid event, but it's literally related to her dad dying. So that's just like weird and fucked up, but that's the shit I'm talking about. She has now created a division, and the women are all deciding what they're gonna do. So they do end up going to Karen's event. They all go, they say we're gonna stop. They're devising a plan to like split their time, make it to Giselle and Ashley's event at the end of the night. So they even called Ashley to tell her that, and they're like, we'll be there at 8:30. Ashley's like, our event ends at 9. Like, you need to be here for at least 8 o'clock, or like, probably shouldn't come. We're like, okay, we'll do 8 o'clock, we'll do 8 o'clock. Now, mind you, the drive in between these places, they could like just make it if they do it, but a couple of the ladies, I believe Wendy and Kay, were like, I want to go support Karen, I'm not trying to go to a GNA event, leave us here, y'all go. Which they end up doing. But Karen at her event wants to know about Giselle and if they talk to her and what she say and how she take it. Just being messy. She also said, of course people want to go to her event. She's a better person than Giselle. Once again, what the fuck are you doing, lady? Like, what are you doing? You're doing and taking this to weird places it doesn't need to go, and you're not helping yourself in the process. So I don't fucking know what Karen's up to, but it's not a good look. Ashley goes back and tells Giselle that the ladies came up with a plan to be there by 8, and Giselle was like, no, they don't need to come. Tell them to keep it. And Ashley, of course, doesn't say that, because she's a messy bitch. So this episode ends with the ladies rushing over to Giselle and Ashley's party, getting there like 8:04, and Giselle's like, nope, leave, goodbye, and kicks them out. She has her security, she calls security over, and she's like, they gotta go. Kick him out. So they were not happy. Stacy and Mia, and quite frankly Jazzy, were offended because they were the ones that went and still tried to participate and be there for a good reason. Giselle kicked them out with the swiftness. The second she saw them, she stopped taking the picture she was taking and was like, nope, nope, screamed the entire way over to them and was just like, you gotta go, leave. Not doing it. And I don't blame her, because as she described in her confessional, her dad died 12 days after having an MRI that found a tumor. So in between, 12 days took place between this man getting in the machine, finding out he even had a brain tumor, to literally dying. Like, that's wild. And I don't even like really fuck with Giselle like that, but like, that is so crazy. And the fact that these women are playing with her event like that, even like the fact that I'm defending Giselle like this, is wild to me, because I don't fucking like her at all. But like, they really, like, I understand why she because it was a bit of an overreaction, but I understand why she did, because that's wild. Like, the amount of disrespect that already showed her by like even doing that, and that's mostly Karen, but I get why she was over dramatic in that moment, and I get why she was so mad, because her dad died within 12 days of this thing. That's what this event is for, in honor of her father, and they're all playing in her face. But that is where the episode ends. And like I said, I was not even going to review Potomac. I wasn't even going to like waste my time and energy, but I'm glad I decided to. I hope that they bring me something this season that I can like enjoy, and I hope Karen gets her shit together. okay? Because she needs to. But that was that. That was episodes 1 and 2. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please check out my other stuff on my page. And as always, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I will catch you soon for something else to talk shit about.